Welcome, I'm Melinda Kilami. Tonight, federal government confirms that 110 and not 105 schoolgirls, as earlier announced, are missing from Dapchi, Yobe State. Community leaders in Adamawa State expressed worry over the spate of attacks by Boko Haram insurgents on their community, ready to team up with the military to end the violence. Federal government targets 7.9 million Nigerians in its social investment program. And the governing Communist Party of China is making efforts to extend the rule of President Xi Jinping beyond 2023. Tonight from Damaturu, the Yobe State capital, where the federal government today confirmed that 110 schoolgirls and not 105 are actually missing from Dapchi following the attack on the school by Boko Haram insurgents last Monday. The Minister for Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, made the clarification after a meeting between the federal government delegation, the state government and officials of the Government Science and Technical College. The minister, however, gave the assurance that the government is working round the clock to ensure the safe return of the girls.
It's barely 1 week after the latest school abduction in Dapchi, Yobe State, northeast of Nigeria, and it's been quite uncertain the numbers of girls kidnapped. After a closed-door meeting involving the federal, state and local authorities as well as other concerned individuals to gather first-hand information on what happened, the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, has come out to clear the air on the actual numbers of girls abducted.
The total register of the students that came to school on that Monday was 906. As of today, about 110 of them cannot be accounted for.
He also speaks on the federal government's resolve to forestall further kidnap of school children.
Henceforth, the police and the Civil Defense Corps will ensure that their presence are strong in every school so that they will serve as deterrents to insurgents.
Meanwhile, the Borno State Governor, Kashim Shettima, has paid his Yobe counterpart a visit to commiserate with him on the Dapchi incident. Having as well been in the same boat after the abduction of over 200 secondary school girls in Chibok in 2014, he offers his message with a note of support towards the rescue of the Dapchi victims.
The parents of these girls will always look up to you with hope in the midst of agony. I know you are pained. I also believe that inshallah these girls will be rescued very soon. This incident, however, reminds us not only in Borno and Yobe, but perhaps across the northern parts of the country to be on guard.
The Yobe State Governor on his part believes there is need for the recruitment of more military personnel to address the issue of withdrawal and rationing of soldiers around troubled regions, which has often proved fatal.
This kind of incident happens around 2014, 2015 in Yadimbuni. To our dismay, referring to that Yadimbuni incident, federal government college Yadimbuni. In the morning hours, the military was withdrawn. And in night of that day, the insurgencies went into the school and killed a number of students. The day that they were withdrawn. So this incident is similar to that. About a week to the time of the incidents, the military were withdrawn.
While series of meetings are expected to be held in the coming days, it remains a mystery how history continues to repeat itself without lessons being learned. The Dapchi school adoption appears to be another test of how a nation resolves to protect our citizenry.
Just as the federal government was beating her chest that the days of Boko Haram are numbered, the insurgency group has struck again. On Monday, February the 19th, the group attacked a school in Dapchi, Yobe State, abducting some students, 4 years after a similar incident in Chibok, Borno State. In this next report, our correspondent, Oreoluwa Shonibare, examines the similarity between both incidents and the implications for the government's fight against terrorism.
The abduction of over 200 girls from the government secondary school in Chibok, Borno State, is an incident the nation is yet to recover from. Some, like in this video, have already bade farewells to their families. Although most of the girls have been reunited with their loved ones, there are still numbers yet to taste freedom, which leaves a bittersweet taste. So when the news of the recent kidnap of over 100 students from the Government Girls Science Technical College in Dapchi, Yobe State happened, the general feeling of frustration expressed by all was not again. The incident has only evoked the familiar scenes: wailing, government visits and condemnation of the act with the promise to arrest the perpetrators.
Their power has gone down completely. They have been pushed out of Sambisa. And they now want, you see, oxygen. Their oxygen is publicity. This is what they are looking for. Something that would grab world attention. But I can tell you that with determination of our gallant officers and men, the days of Boko Haram is almost over.
Even the monthly briefing by the Operation Lafia Dole gives the feeling of victory. So what happened? 4 years on, it would be assumed that there should have been lessons learned from the Chibok mishap to ensure this never happens again. What security advice was given? What steps were taken to increase surveillance of the region? To these parents, the questions are of little importance. All they want is the safe and early return of their children before their impressionable minds become warped by doctrine which might be difficult to liberate them from. Oreoluwa Shonibare, Channels Television News.
To discuss this issue, we're being joined on the news at 10 by Dr. Ona Aikomo, a security consultant. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, madam.
Now, it's been 4 years since the Chibok girls incident. Not everyone has been found yet. Now this, isn't it disturbing?
Very much so, I would say. There is a lot of parallels between both incidents. The vulnerabilities were the same, undefended schools. The modus was the same. They brought in a truck at Chibok, and they brought in a truck here, and moved out truckloads of students. Now, how did they present themselves? The same MO all over. They came in military fatigues like they did in Chibok, and they did exactly the same thing here. And they used the same ruse. They lied to these girls that, there appears to be an incident around here, so we've come to move you to safety. And it worked all over. And now the government's response has been quite I would say maybe a little bit mixed up, even though it straightened out quite quickly. First of all, it was denied that any students were seized. Then, of course, later they said, they got 50 students, but later the state government came back and said, no, that was a mistake. They were misbriefed. So I think the kind of parallels, the kind of unfortunate things we saw playing out in Chibok are being repeated here. But I hope that the government is a little wiser and sadder this time, and the government would kind of put in investigative strategies to ensure that these girls are recovered quickly, because we can't have a second Chibok girls here. I mean, Nigeria is not the only country. Yeah.
Dr. Aikomo, considering that this happened in the same region, that's the northern part of Nigeria, how could security operatives have let this slip, especially with the massive deployment of troops to that region?
Well, that's the problem we have here. You see, these troops, they are really a scarce commodity. Don't mind that we have a 7th Brigade out there in Maiduguri, but these troops are really scarce because they are engaged in so many security operations in the whole region. Now, if you see what happened, we shifted our attention to Sambisa Forest, just like the Minister of Information said a few minutes ago, that they've been driven out of their real estate in Sambisa. Yes, they left Sambisa and they are now in the cities, they are now in the villages. So I think what we should do is we need to reassess our own threat assessment. That what is it that these terrorists are likely to do now that they have moved into the villages and cities? And that's the question we didn't ask quickly enough, such that when the troops were moved out, that became a vulnerability that was exploited by the bad guys to kidnap these girls.
Well, are there other vulnerable places they should also be looking at beyond the cities?
Oh, most certainly. Now, most of this area, first of all, you have to look at the tri-state northeast area, because all of that area is fair game for Boko Haram. That is Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe. We shouldn't take our eyes off those places for one moment. We shouldn't over-concentrate resources, because when we moved into Sambisa, they merely pulled out for us. So, I mean, they gave us the keys to the house. They say, okay, you can take over the property. We need to relocate somewhere else. So we have to be very worried about that, because when somebody a fighter goes to you and says, I'm not going to fight anymore, I'm walking away. And then, in fact, you heard the crazy statement by Shekau the other day that, oh, you know, most of my commanders have been captured. Those are all classic ruses. They are all fake outs. They are all deceptions. So we shouldn't fall for those kinds of things so easily. That is really what is making this thing difficult for us. So I think, in direct answer to your question, yes, we should pay attention to vulnerable targets like schools. We know they love to mass abduct students, mass abduct people, because it gives them a lot of notoriety, just like the Minister of Information also rightly stated, that propaganda is their oxygen. But certainly, that's why they are terrorists.
And one can only imagine, Dr. Aikomo, if I may come in, one can only imagine what's going through the minds of the people, especially the parents of those abducted students. But what can federal government do to reassure them, especially with the claim that the Boko Haram insurgency has been fully defeated? Do you think they spoke too soon?
I believe so, and I think it wasn't well advised. We shouldn't make such pronouncements just like that unless, in fact, they can be backed up. In fact, that means Boko Haram is not able to detonate any bomb anywhere else. As long as they still have these little girls going around detonating IEDs, and now look at this mass kidnap of 100 girls. Now, that is a lot of logistics. That means you have to bring 2-3 trailers. That means there was total intelligence failure, and so on and so forth. There were so many things that went wrong here, but let's not worry about what has happened. It has happened already. I think our focus should now be how to get these girls back. Now, I think I have a panacea. That's why we are called security experts. I think certainly the federal government should, quick wings, put in place quickly a special JTF that will harness the strength of a matrix organization to look at this. Now, what would that JTF comprise of? Military personnel, police personnel, DSS personnel, and civilian JTF personnel. Because you need those kinds of skills in one room, working on the same problem, tasking themselves on the same intelligence problem to be able to solve this kind of a complex problem. Now, secondly, you need a good leader for that team. You don't just want to pick one of the boys. You need somebody who is known to be tough, fair-minded, and who will get the job done. Now, number 3, you need to go in fresh pursuit of these guys using all kinds of assets, air assets. They need to run ISR investigations, and they need to use all kinds of things. Now, the last thing is they need to put out money there. You need to put out good money, 50 million naira for information leading to the rescue of these girls. That's not too much at all, because at the end of the day, if they keep those girls, we are going to pay much more than that to ransom them later. So, I mean, we say lose-lose for us. So let's just see how we can cut our losses right now.
Thank you so much for speaking with us, security consultant Dr. Ona Aikomo. And in part 2, after the break, the Department of Petroleum Resources continues its sanctions on airing filling stations in a bid to end the ongoing fuel crisis nationwide. Please stay with us.